Welcome, everybody. We're so happy that you're here. We're so pleased for your support and your love to our mom and grandma and aunt and mother-in-law and whoever else I mentioned, forgot. We have had so many phone calls from people that wanted to come, people that couldn't come. We're just so happy that you're all here. We have a few little things that we'd love to share with you today. And all of Oma's family is here. Her work family, her neighbor family, her actual grandchildren and children. And I hope that you will celebrate with us today. Thank you. I have a little poem. I hope I can get through it. And thank you, Daryl and Marianne, for having us here at this beautiful place today. I read of a man who stood to speak at a funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on her tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of her birth and spoke of the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all of the time that she spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved her know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters how we live and love is how we spend our dash.
So today's about the dash, and we are just going to be celebrating her.
Yeah, perfect.
Granny was something else. She was Granny to so many people. Like Daryl said, through dirt biking, skiing, apple blossom. I have friends that met her once, but 40 years later asked how she was. That's the kind of impression she left on people. I don't think I ever heard Granny ever say anything negative. It was always a smile and a laugh. And she had more sayings, we could fill a book. And, I'll miss you dearly. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Kyle Kostoff, Juanita and Dave. That's my mom and dad. So I'm supposed to go over grannyisms. So hopefully this will be fun and I'll get through it. First, I want to share a story. Well, let's see here. I used to rodeo a lot, and I travel all over and come up to a lot of rodeos in Washington. She'd meet Moses Slade, Walla Walla, Kennewick. She'd always show up, throw the trunk open, and just have all kind of food. So my favorite place though was Ellensburg. So I get there one year, she shows up, we get her parked, and all my buddies, you know, they come by. We got food like turkey, ham, roast, and all the fixings for all of it. It's all in the back of the car. So, you know, I'm traveling with the guy home, and he's like, he's just my grandma, yeah. And so she comes up, we open it up, and all this food, so we start eating. So then all the guys that I kind of rodeo with, you know, they're there and they're walking by. So then I'm like, hey, we can get all this food. So I'm like, hey, you hungry? So pretty quick, everybody's eating. And I still don't think we ate it all, but Granny was so happy, you know, just cooking for everybody. So that got over. So the next year, pull up. We get parked and Granny's coming. So I'm kind of watching for her, and I'm go over and pay my fees. And there's a security guy there that runs the gate. He says, hey, is your grandma coming? He says, well, I got this parking place. It was the front, like the very best parking place for the whole deal, for anybody. Got a place for her. So she comes, And he's like, hey, you know, and he waves her out and pulls her right in there. So it's the same deal. Everybody's, you know, all the guys were asking for sketchers. So we have this big feed again and do the running. So that's one of my favorite stories about Granny. So now it's Grannyisms. And you guys, there's a paper there, it's got a lot, and everybody's kind of got their own deal. These are the ones that I thought of. So if something didn't taste real good, she said, that'd make a pig squeal. And then there's old Mr. Jesus, that was mentioned already. Or, you know, somebody who wasn't too smart, she'd say, don't know come here from Sikkim. And then, I don't know where this word came from, but it is if something was real nasty, she'd say, Bicky. I really like that one. And then she lived by, in Wenatchee, there was a neighbor, and I think they come up with this, but Granny used it. They'd say, don't call me shut up. And then I didn't know the war was over. And then in the morning, she'd get up and walk in. She'd say, good morning, Tutu. I don't know where that come from, but I liked it. And then my favorite, if something didn't taste too good or somebody made something bad, she'd say, if a dog ate that, he'd have to lick his butt to get the taste out of it. Anyway, I appreciate y'all coming. We could go on all day, but that's all I can think of. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Casey. I got the pleasure of living with Granny pretty much for all my life. She moved in with my mom and dad when they bought the house, and I got to really have a second mother the whole time, which was just crazy. Because if, you know, mom and dad said no, I could go to her. Sometimes I get a yes. So it's like an extra shot, you know? Or, you know, sometimes they would say yes, and I'd be leaving, and she's like, what are you doing? You know, so it went both ways. Most of the time it was good. But living with Granny was, like I said, it was amazing. She had the downstairs, so it was almost like her kind of own apartment. And so we had countless game nights. You know, she'd go up to see whoever, you know, Larry Ott, and Granny's come, like, hey guys, we're all coming over, we're having Halo night or whatever. And so we'd play all night long. It'd be great, because it was like our own little apartment. You know, but we were 13. So. But there was one time that she was home, so we were having a sleepover. Everyone was sitting on or asleep on the ground, whatever, playing games. We were having a living room, and all of a sudden we start seeing stuffed animals come over the railing from downstairs. We're like, what in the world is going on? And then nothing happens, and we're like, and then another one comes. And Granny's down there. It's like, I mean, it's probably 11:30 at 12 o'clock at night, and she's throwing stuffed animals at us. But I mean, it was just the little things like that that, I mean, a lot of my friends are here that, you know, knew her and grew up with her. And just like we said, you know, she really was everyone's grandma. She treated everyone like that from day one on, you know. So that's all I got.
And there's Mike. Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Danielle. I'm the first great-granddaughter and one of the first tutus.
The original tutu.
The original tutu. Also, just kind of side note, I just realized this from looking at the quilt and noticing that there was 22 and she did pass on tutu. So I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but kind of crazy. I'm beyond grateful to have had the relationship I did with my granny for the last 29 years. Granny kept us laughing and on our toes at all times, and when we weren't laughing at all of her grannyisms, she was calling to check in and make sure everyone was okay. And it was from those calls that I believed helped shape the worrywart I am today. Granny loved her weenie dogs, we all know that. But when I came home from college with a 65-pound dog, Granny decided to give her a shot along with a side of turkey under the table. And after she was used to the dog, I brought home Brandon. From the first time we met, I knew that he'd fit into this family. Granny loved her nicknames, we all have one, sometimes interchangeable, but not Brandon, he got his own, Othello. Granny opened her arms to Othello and would even call just to check in on him. It's hard to put down on paper the impact Granny had on my life and how much I miss her, but I'm beyond grateful for the last 29 years that we got to spend together, the countless holidays, the games, and all the mac salad. I love you, Granny.
All right, so I'm Jordan, so Danielle's brother, and Daryl Marianne's son. So I guess I'm a great grandson. So I was trying to think what to say, so I was thinking, what's the oldest good memory I have of Granny? And I think it was probably when we had the big surprise to name the Oma Lodge after her, and the quilt that's outside. And so there's a bunch of stories with the quilt, but the one that stood out to me the most was definitely, there's a story, there's a picture of a suitcase with a turkey in it. And so there's a story behind that I don't really remember the details, I had to refresh myself out there, but so she brought a turkey in a suitcase to bring the turkey for Thanksgiving or something along those lines. And when they told me that story, I was like, man, this lady is crazy. Where is she? But I always just think of that. It's just, who else is going to do that? Nobody else is going to do that. So then some more recent ones that I thought were really funny. She was telling me that back when she was growing up, she was like, I made a joke or something about eating squirrel, I think, and she was like, oh, squirrel's not that bad. I've never had it. You know? And then, we had like French dips one time, and there was au jus, and there's a lot left over, and I don't drink the au jus, and she's like, oh, don't throw that away. I'm like, what are you going to do with it? She's like, oh, I just drink it. She just took the au jus cup and just downed it. And I was like, cut from a different cloth, it's not my thing, but never letting that fruit go to waste. So a lot of the memories I have, they seem to all center around food somehow. I'm sure most people feel the same way. It seems like we had a lot of stories that way. She was always thinking about feeding people, making sure we had enough food, never going to run out with her. And then after you're full, of course, she's going to stuff you with more food, make sure you're over the brim full of food. She was always telling me, little Jay, you need to have some more. You need to thicken up, you're too skinny. Some meat on your bones, that was her thing. So some of my favorite foods, I got the Rice Krispie treats we got out there. Some mac salad, as Danielle mentioned, it's pretty infamous between us. We used to have fights for leftovers at Thanksgiving. And then, of course, the peanut butter cookies, which are just everywhere in this household today. And I always look forward to the holidays because I get a box of peanut butter cookies for every holiday. It was the thing. And then you have to ration it out, see how long you can make it last. But yeah, like everyone said, she's always calling in and checking in on people for no reason, just making sure people are well. I never had super long calls with her when she calls you, but it's always full of really positive energy and the quirky grannyisms that everybody's got. And so the only one that I always think of with her for some reason, like today, when it's raining really hard, is it's raining harder than a cow pissing on a flat rock. And that was today, I think. What else we got? Oh, and then I always thought it was hilarious. She called everyone a knothead. Anybody who's bad is a knothead. And so I don't just like somebody. Oh, they're a bunch of knotheads. And then she'd always tell me, you better not be hanging out with those knotheads. But yeah, so she kept us away from the knotheads. Always a super entertaining person to be around. I'm gonna miss those phone calls out of the blue, and really gonna miss those peanut butter cookies.
I'm Spencer. I'm Dan's son. I don't know if I'm the youngest grandson or, but I think the best memories I have of Granny is every time I saw her, she'd always ask me how I'm doing. She'd always say, "How you doing, Tutu?" Every time. She'd always tell me that I was her favorite. I don't know if it was true, but I'll hold on to that. Never went home hungry. I remember every time before I would leave, she'd always hand me about 5 different Tupperwares full of food. She'd be real sneaky about it too. Bunch of cookies, everything. You know, and I don't know if it was this morning or last night. I was talking to my dad about it, and kind of just felt like she was always going to be here. And I guess last couple of years working in the industry that I worked in, I missed a lot of holidays, and a lot of occasions to see her and be around her. But I cherish every second I had with her, and all the time I got to spend with her. And I do have a song. Hopefully I can make it through it. It was suggested by Granzella to sing My Way by Frank Sinatra. And I think it describes her very well as just the kind of person she was. So hopefully I can make it through it. I know she loved to hear me sing, and I'd like to sing for her.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this. She did it her way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. love. I've laughed and cried. I've had my fill, my share of losing. And now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think she did all that. And may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, no, not her. She did it her way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows she took the blows and did it her way. Yes, it was her way. Thank you.
So I'm Beth, Craig's wife, and you can see I'm not harmed. I'm just fine. I'm one of Juanita's daughters-in-law. And our daughter Kylie wanted to share, but she's at school in Florida. And so she wrote something for Granny's share. And I'm gonna just share it with you today. She says, "Dear Granny, I know you're smiling down on us standing beside Mr. Jesus. And I know that your heart is full of love for all of your family. Your girls, your sons-in-law, your grandchildren, and your tutus, your great-grandchildren. I regret that Emily and I can't be there today. I'm sorry that we didn't get to say goodbye. I wish we had had more time. There are so many questions that I never asked, so many things left unsaid. It hurts to think that if I ever get married, you won't be there. There's so much you won't get to see, but I'll always remember your birthday cards. I'll always remember that you made the greatest Rice Krispie treats in the entire world. And I'll always treasure the soft one that you made. I will never forget how much you loved all of us, Granny, and we love you."
Good afternoon, I'm Ron McGay, also known as Uncle Ronnie. And just couldn't help but think the last time Spencer and I were together singing that My Way, Granny's 95th birthday, and we were sitting in the Red Dog Saloon, and Granny was sitting at the bar with the president of the Bandito Motorcycle Club. Tough old gal. You know, Hubert Humphrey once said, "If you have no tears, you have no heart." So in advance, forgive me if my heart starts showing. Oma Sims is one of the last of what's been known as the Greatest Generation. And for the grandchildren, I want you to cherish the fact that your grandmother was part of that generation. Beyond her immediate family, of course, we all knew her as Granny, and she was indeed everyone's Granny. And we are saddened by Oma's passing, but I believe that 97 years is worth celebrating. So celebrate with us and forgive us if we get a little emotional about it. We each have our own special memories of Granny and how she touched our lives, and those memories will live with us for the rest of our lives. Alma was a remarkably strong person. She overcame many difficulties in her life, and her philosophy was you can't lay there and feel sorry for yourself. You have to get up and keep moving. And she did. I believe that attitude and that toughness, coupled with her compassion for her family and friends, was formed by the many traumatizing things that happened in her life. She used to say, people today don't know what hard times are. But she certainly did. And can you imagine how tough it was, family living in Oklahoma in 1921, going to Arkansas for health care to have a premature baby with 3 pounds birth weight? Well, that's how Alma started life. She was tough from the day she was born. At the early age of 16, she married Ralph, and 4 years later, World War II started. And together they endured the hardships and the rationing that came with World War II. She told me once that growing up during the Depression, we didn't have anything. Then the war started, we couldn't get anything. Near the end of her war, her brother Tommy was killed by a sniper his first day on Okinawa. Having heart trouble. She became a widow at an early age and left alone to raise a young daughter, and I think she did a pretty good job. She suffered what no parent should have to do. She lost a child. But after each tragedy, she kept moving on. Alma had a nickname for everybody, and everybody in the family had various nicknames, and as has been said, some of them were interchangeable. But Alma's nickname was Tot, and Ralph was short. It came Whitey, Wani, Sheeny, and Boo. Later on came Little J, Loop Leg, Tutu, Blatherskite, and Beanie. And there were many others, but everybody ended up with a nickname. Even the extended family had nicknames. If Alma Sims had an opinion, she was not afraid to express it. And sometimes in very colorful language that's been already stated here. One of my favorites was when you had a public figure in the news misbehaving, or anybody else for that matter, her solution was, they need to cut them balls off. She had a sixth sense, and when she called, she usually knew if you were going to tell her somebody was sick or hurt or something. She already knew that before she called. And but she was always there to nurse you back to health, even after she found out. And I would bet when she met St. Peter at the pearly gates, she greeted him with, "Just checking in."
I'm so excited. I don't have to do my speech because you guys did my speech. All of you. I'm Marianne. I'm the granddaughter-in-law. And most of this has already been spoken, but I'm going to go ahead. Granny was quite an inspiration. Not only did Granny inspire me when life got tough, but saw her inspirations daily into those that came into her life. 34 years ago, we had our first laugh. It was at Apple Blossom. And I asked if I could cook breakfast. She said, sure, cook those boys up some over easy eggs. Glad to. Gave me a cast iron pan. I'd never used one before. Anyway, she looked at those eggs and they were not over easy. Our laughter continued through the decades. I have the unique pleasure of talking to Granny almost daily because I worked from home, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times, when we forgot things. I enjoyed making her laugh and keeping her engaged with what was going on in the kids' lives, our lives. She worried, she loved, she always encouraged me to be strong when life's challenges happen. We've mentioned the nicknames, I'm not going to repeat them, but one of the favorites was Peckerhead, for the cop that pulled her over for speeding. When she was 92 years old. She was wise, she was funny, she did have an opinion, but she would also hear you out. I usually come up with one word for people, but for her there were 2, inspiration and encouragement. I loved her encouragement to the youth and how she could connect and be joyful to them even though there was a 4-generation gap. The grandsons, great-grandkids loved her so much, as did we all. She had a unique ability to connect. All my friends, family were inspired to see her dance at my 50th birthday when she was 91, Danielle's wedding, Ronnie's potato party, all in her 90s. She was never the first to leave a party. She enjoyed music, especially country music. She read her country magazines from cover to cover. I got the joy of taking her to some concerts. Leanne Rimes, Vince Gill, Dolly Parton, and George Strait were a few, but at the George Strait concert, Taylor Swift was the warm-up person with a guitar. She was 17, and Granny said, she's gonna be something. She said that, and look at her now. I'm not sure what her secret to long life was, but her son-in-law, Don, would say it was about the bacon. There was always a pound or 2, or how many this morning? 5 or 7? 7 this morning. Don is pretty sure he would be a vegetarian if it wasn't for Granny. Joe likes to eat a little bit healthier. But speaking of Don, I would like to publicly thank you for your commitment and your love to her. It's not always easy to have your mother-in-law living with you, but you were patient and you were loyal and attentive to the end. We all thank you. I will miss her daily check-ins. My square on the quilt is the phone. Anyway, about the quilt outside, one of our vacation rentals is the Oma Lodge. When I called her to say, I'm thinking it's going to be the Oma Lodge. The first one's Danielle, Jordan, everybody thought I was pregnant again. Anyway, this Oma Lodge, she didn't really mind having it named after her. So Daryl and I were sitting up there in a swing one day, and I said, I need something in the lodge that's her. I'm thinking about this quilt. And I just need everybody to participate. Just say a story, and I'll make the square that just represents a story. And Daryl said, like, this fast. Well, I know what I'll put on my square. Socks and underwear. She's bought me socks and underwear for 40 years. So I'm like, that's exactly what I'm after. So the next call was to Danny. And we're like, same thing, thinking about this quilt. And Danny goes, I know exactly what's in an apple blossom. For all my friends that just lined up sleeping bags in apple blossom. And so all the squares are that, and there's a little thing that describes what the square, and I had 100% participation from this family. It was really exciting. I will miss the daily check-in calls, our laughter, and our friendship, our trips to therapy to the casino, and our sweet chats along the way. I will miss her love and her encouragement to my family and myself. She believed in the best of people. I'm thankful her mind was good to the end, and for having her so long in my life. I'm thankful for each one of you that came to celebrate her. She didn't want any kind of service, people boo-hooing over her, but I think this celebration is one that she's smiling. We're going to open up the microphone, but I think we'll switch to the slideshow, and then if someone wants to...
Casey, well, how did I get a hold of you? So I got the checking info phone with the how did I get to you phone.
Alphabetically, he was first on the list.
Yeah, right. Danny, she always called Danny, so it's Danny and then Casey. So I always ended up with the how did I get you?
Any others?
I have a funny one. This is Alan, one of my best friends. We met in 7th grade, and we hit it off right off the bat because we both loved motorcycles. We started going to Apple Blossom, and our mom took us over in the old little red Volkswagen that we had. We strapped our bicycles on the back, and it was Alan. Well, he was Ed for the next 40, whatever many years it's been. It's always been Ed forever.
Not the head with the red eyes though.
Yeah.
Not that trip.
It always cracks me. People go, well, what the hell's an Ed?
Well, as they say in the auction world, you're all through, you all done? We'd like to invite everybody to join us for lunch on the patio. Is that where we're eating? I guess.
That's going.
Join us for lunch and take a look at that quilt out there. There's some pretty interesting squares on there. And enjoy each other, and thank you all so much for coming and sharing with us and making this a special day worthy of 97 years. Thank you.